everyone, welcome to my channel and welcome to my kitchen. So in today's video we are going to be talking about how and what you should be eating when you are suffering from lip eczema and angular cheilitis. So what's different from having lip eczema or angular cheilitis from inflammatory skin disorders in other parts of your body is that you have to not only think about how foods are impacting you from the inside of your body, but also because there is contact with the actual affected area, you have to be thinking about how that contact is impacting your skin as well. So eating when you have inflamed lips, the struggle is real, and trust me, I'm very prone to lip eczema, so I really have had like 10 to 15 years of knowing exactly what I should and shouldn't have when I am suffering from a particularly bad flare-up. So what we're going to do is I've come up with what's the word? GCSE English. A mnemonic knowledge. And what we're going to be doing, I'm going to be going through this mnemonic, which is essentially going to be like a list of different things that you want to be avoiding, reducing, or just cutting out altogether when you are having this lip eczema. Looking at the kind of things in my kitchen or in our fridge or my store cupboard that I might avoid, the things that you can be having instead of these things. The list is kind of long, so it's going to feel a little bit like, God, I can't have anything. So if you do want me to make a what I eat in the day video specifically for when you have lip eczema or angular cheilitis, do subscribe, do let me know in the comments down below and I will make that for you. So first of all, I just want to mention that before we get into the things that you can and can't have, I'm assuming by now that you are on a whole food plant-based diet. If you are not on a whole food plant-based diet, just get on one. If you want to get rid of your eczema in a natural, holistic way, then just get on the whole food plant-based diet. I get so many questions of people saying, yeah, can I still have a little bit of this or a little bit of egg or a little bit of this? It's like, I would just recommend, if you're going through eczema really badly, just to get rid of it altogether, because you'll have a much better chance of healing yourself from the inside. Like, it works, people. Okay, for now let's get straight onto the list, and the word I came up with is Mrs. Lips. I know, it's kind of bad, it means absolutely nothing, but hopefully it's so bad that maybe you'll remember it. So the first letter, M, and that will stand for messy. So you want to avoid anything that is particularly messy when you're eating. And when I say messy, I mean the kind of foods that when you eat them, they leave a lot of food and a lot of mess all around your mouth. The reason for this is that obviously when you have lip eczema or angular cheilitis, you want to keep the areas clean. You want to avoid as much contact as possible with different types of food, just to reduce the risk of having any additional flare-ups, any additional reactions to anything. There's also the reason that you do want to keep it clean, and if you're eating foods that are very messy, it is harder to do that. So let's have a look in my fridge now, the kind of things that I mean when I say something that is messy. Wow, so tidy. So as you can see down here, we've got some kind of salads, some leafy greens down here. Now, salads are obviously very good for you, and I'm not saying you shouldn't have salads, but when you have sores and things around your mouth, like, salads do tend to create quite a lot of mess. And of course, often you have like dressings and things on it. So I would tend to avoid salads when I have lip eczema, when I'm suffering from some kind of sores around my mouth. So as well as salads up here, we've got some apples over here. So again, apples are obviously good for you as well, but then when you eat them, quite messy, at least the way that I eat them. There's other things that I can think of. Obviously there's things like, I don't know, like hamburgers, messy. Things like peaches, like quite a lot of fruits actually do create a bit of mess around your mouth. Either you can cut them up in a way that makes them not so messy, or you just want to avoid them at the time. It's kind of up to you, but again, you really want to be trying to keep the skin around your mouth as clean as possible. So the second letter of our word, Mrs. Lips, is the letter R, and that stands for raw foods. Now this one is potentially a little bit controversial. Some people are going to come at me at the comments with this, but I tend to find that raw foods are they create much more of a risk of any kind of reaction. Now with this, I do mean, of course, you should be eating plenty of fruit and vegetables. All I'm saying is that you should be having predominantly cooked fruit and vegetables. Now, with all of these things, nothing is 100% black and white. So I'm not saying that I never ever eat any raw foods when I have lip eczema, but I eat a predominantly cooked diet because that tends to be the mildest, it's not as reactive, it's not as acidic. So that is why I do tend to have mostly cooked foods. Lots of raw food diets have a lot of fruit in them as well. I personally think that loads and loads of fruit is not great for your skin. It does cause blood sugars to surge, so you do want to be a little bit careful with that. Again, like I'm saying, it's not black and white. I'm not saying you should completely eliminate all raw foods. I'm just saying that your diet should be predominantly cooked food, because that is what tends to be less reactive in terms of the contact of the actual skin around your lips. So back to the fridge here, obviously there's a lot of raw food here. Obviously you've got things like carrots, you've got things like tomatoes, you've got things like peppers, and I would be having most of these foods cooked. So as an example here, this kind of food is so good, like squashes and things that you can put in the oven. I just think that these are so good when you have lip eczema because they're super mild, but obviously they're vegetables as well. Carrots as well, they're pretty good, you can steam those up. Obviously there's things like asparagus, I'd have that cooked, and these you can put in the ovens. In this corner over here as well, you can see lots of things that I would have as a base. So I'd think I'd have pasta, I'd have things like quinoa, I'd have rice, and in the mornings I'd have oats and things like that. So a predominantly cooked whole food plant-based diet, that is going to be your best bet. So then we've got S, and S stands for spicy. So spicy is probably a little bit obvious, you know, if you don't want to be eating chilies and things like that when you have lip eczema, because that is going to burn, and you do not want to be doing that to your skin. You want things that are super mild and do not create a lot of reaction around your skin, especially not creating like some kind of burning sensation around your lips. Like you really don't want that. So what have we got in here that is spicy? I'm pretty sure, yeah, here we go, some chilies. Danger. So chilies is probably an obvious choice here, but if I look in my cupboard over here as well, there's other things like even cinnamon is not really ideal for when you have lip eczema. Obviously like things like fajita seasoning, that includes chilies. Oh god, I've got loads of chilies, chili flakes, sriracha sauce, anything that's basically spicy. Those are gonna be seriously painful, so definitely avoid those. And then we come on to L. Now L stands for lattes. Okay, I really did try and crowbar the word coffee in here, but like it didn't work. So when I say lattes, I basically mean coffee. Now a lot of people don't like to hear this because a lot of people say, oh, I can't live without my cup of coffee every single day. Yes, you can. Don't be so dramatic. There are other things that you can have for this 1 week or 2 when you have super bad eczema. And again, I think that personally, I find that coffee is very strong. It has a lot of caffeine in it, which creates cortisol surges in your body. It disrupts your sleep. It's a stimulant. So you don't really want to be having that when you have skin problems and when you have lip eczema or angular cheilitis or any kind of inflammatory problems. There's loads of different things you can have. You can have turmeric lattes, you can have matcha latte. I know that has a little bit of caffeine, but not as much. You can have loads of different types of teas. So I think that you should try and avoid coffee. I know that's gonna make me super unpopular, but I'm trying to help you. So in terms of the coffee that we have in my house, so Charlie drinks coffee every day. I don't drink coffee, but I do sometimes drink decaf coffee. Some decaf coffee here, as you can see. I would actually advise avoiding decaf coffee as well, just because, again, I have found personally that it really doesn't help my skin. Like I can have a little bit of it here and there, but on the whole, try to avoid it. So where are we now? We are Mrs. Lips. Yeah, okay, so letter I. Letter I stands for intolerant. And basically what I mean is things that you are allergic or sensitive to in some way. So this is another thing where you kind of have to know yourself a little bit better. You know, some people, for example, are very allergic to nuts. I'm personally kind of allergic to avocados and certain other fruits. And what you really want to do is like you want to focus on really getting to know yourself and how your skin does with certain foods. And this is going to be different from person to person, so it's going to be difficult for me to say what you specifically should be avoiding. So this is kind of where you need to kind of figure things out a little bit for yourself. But I can definitely tell you the things that I'm allergic to. Again, we'll have another look in my fridge and I'll show you the things that I personally wouldn't have and the things that I'm personally a little bit allergic to, but they are going to be different from the things that perhaps you are allergic to. I have, yeah, tomatoes. I'm actually not allergic to raw tomatoes, but I know a lot of people are. So if you are one of those people, definitely avoid those. But what I'm personally are apples. I'm really allergic to apples. I don't do well with them at all. They make me super itchy around my mouth, so I really don't have those. I can have cooked apples, weirdly enough. But yeah, raw apples, nah, I would never ever eat those. Even if I don't have lip eczema, they tend to bring back my lip eczema. So if you know that you're allergic to them, keep them out of your diet altogether, because they're definitely not going to help your skin, and they're certainly not going to help you if you have lip eczema, because you're getting that contact as well as ingesting them. So the penultimate letter we'll come to is the letter P. We're nearly there. And that stands for processed. You shouldn't really be having processed foods anyway if you're on a whole food plant-based diet, which you should be by now. But now especially, you really want to be cutting down on those things. You want to be having mainly foods that as they are found in the ground, on bushes, in the trees, whatever. You do not want to be having things that have weird chemicals and emulsifiers and things like that, because this is going to be causing internal inflammation, internal reactions that are definitely not going to be helping your lip eczema, definitely not going to be helping your angular cheilitis or any other skin problem that you have. So really don't have processed foods. I really don't have a lot of processed foods in my kitchen, but I'm sure we can find something, so let's have a look. Okay, so processed food. I don't know if I have anything processed, you know. Oh, I know what we have. So for those of you who don't know me, I am an absolute chocolate fiend. I absolutely love it. Most of the time I do try and have sort of healthy versions of chocolate. So I have things like Kind bars, but sometimes I do buy myself naughty little things like this. So when Charlie buys himself a packet of crisps, I'll sometimes buy myself something naughty like that. Many reasons why he shouldn't really be having things like this. That's why I haven't actually had these, because my skin is feeling a little bit, you know, on the edge. So I've kind of been avoiding having these, but you know, there's sugar, there's dairy, it's not good. But then also another thing I thought about, so as you can see up here, is I have 2 chunks of this rather delightful looking pink bread. And bread is one thing that you have to be a little bit careful with. I don't have an issue with bread at all. I don't have a gluten intolerance or anything like that. But one thing you want to be thinking about is like the type of bread you are getting, because a lot of the sliced breads, the ones you find in supermarkets, they are quite processed. I would say it's not necessarily because it's bread and it has gluten and it has wheat in it that it's bad, but it's because it's been processed in a certain way that makes it less than ideal if you have skin problems. So yes, I eat loads of bread. I don't know why I'm banging on about bread now, but because this is something that comes up quite a lot. I eat a lot of bread. I actually find my skin is very good on bread. I only eat rye bread, or if I eat very wholemeal, sort of grainy brown bread, as unprocessed as possible. This stuff is pink because it has some like beetroot and cranberries and things in it. But yeah, so that is another thing that you want to think about in terms of like how processed things are. So it's not only about like the crisps and the chocolate and the pizzas and the hamburgers and whatever else it is you get, but like some things are kind of like sneakily processed. Mostly if it's in a packet and it has lots of weird names in the ingredients, then you want to think about whether you actually want to have that. And then we come to our final letter, and the final letter is the letter S. So we have now completed the word Mrs. Lips. I know that is a really terrible way to remember things, but hopefully we'll remember it now. And the last letter S, it stands for sour. And basically what I mean by sour is anything acidic. Like, and that is, again, it's similar to the spicy category, is that, you know, acidic things on your skin when you have sores, and the contact of that is, you know, painful and also just not good for it. So you really don't want to be having too many sour things when you have lip eczema or angular cheilitis. It's going to really hurt. So but I do have quite a lot of things that we can have a look at, so I can show you the things that, again, I would probably be avoiding when my lip eczema is at its worst. So yeah, so things that are sour or acidic, obviously we've got lemons, we've got limes, we've got things like apple cider vinegar. Although yes, I do make apple cider vinegar solution very, very diluted to go onto my skin. But if you have lip eczema and it's feeling particularly sore that day, then you might not want to have drizzling loads of vinegar, for example, over a salad. I mean, like I just said, salads are a bit anyway. Other things like, you know, sometimes I do like to have a glass of water with some lemon in the mornings, but when I have lip eczema, I don't have that because it's quite acidic. This is another reason why I like to have things cooked, because when you cook things, that does tend to reduce the acidity of it. So for example, think about the peppers that I just showed you in the fridge earlier. Like these are quite acidic when you have them raw, but they're okay when you have them cooked. And other things like the apples, like I said earlier, they would be very acidic raw, but they would be fine when they were cooked. Quite a lot of fruits actually are quite acidic on their own. That was my 7-letter mnemonic word of the day for you there. That was hopefully going to give you some good ideas of the things that you want to be looking out for when you are suffering from angular cheilitis, lip eczema, and skin problems in general. Now, like I said earlier, you might be sitting there thinking, gosh, that is a lot of things that I can't have. Again, it isn't necessarily always going to be completely black and white. Like I said, I'm not saying I completely never have any raw food and I never have this, but and also as your skin does get better, as your lips do get a little bit better, hopefully, you know, after a few weeks or a few days or whatever, then of course you can start incorporating more of these foods back in. Again, just use your judgment, see how it makes your lips feel, like how, if it makes them feel bad, then of course don't have that thing. Like if there is something here that it's not quite it doesn't quite work for you, or that's not quite the same for you, then of course, like, you have to listen to your own body and your own skin before me. But these are definitely the things that I avoid when my lip eczema is at its worst. But if I do manage to avoid these things, then my angular cheilitis, lip eczema does get better quite quickly. And of course, drink loads of water. That is so key. You need the hydration, and of course as well, you want to be keeping those stress levels low, and then that should hopefully help you on your kind of journey or healing process, whatever it is that you're going through. I hope these things were clear. I hope this didn't confuse you too much. I thought it would be a really good idea in my head, and let me know how it went. And of course, as always, please do like, it really helps me, and subscribe if you want to see more of these kind of videos. And yeah, I'll see you again very soon. Bye.